Imagine an India that stretched all the way to the Arabian Sea's strategic coast of Godar. Imagine an India sharing borders with Iran and Afghanistan. Imagine the China-Pakistan economic corridor never existing. Imagine Pakistan without Balochistan. Sounds impossible? But history tells us that this almost happened. In the year 1948, just months after the independence and partition, India received an extraordinary proposal from the ruler of Kalat, an independent Baloch state. The proposal was very simple but historic. Would India support Balochistan's independence and establish formal ties? And had India accepted, the map of South Asia could have looked completely different today. So what exactly happened in 1948? Why did the opportunity slip away? And how different would the subcontinent have been today? Namaste, I am Sonam Singh and you are watching Organiser. When British India was partitioned in 1947, not every princely state immediately chose between India and Pakistan. One such state was Kalat, the largest princely state in Balochistan. The Khan of Kalat, Mir Ahmad Yar Khan, argued that Kalat had a treaty relationship with the British Crown and therefore should become an independent nation after British withdrawal. Historical accounts indicate that Kalat initially sought an independent status before eventually acceding to Pakistan in March 1948. For several months after the partition, Kalat functioned as an independent state. It had its own flag, its own administration, its own aspirations, but it did not wish to become part of Pakistan. According to several historical accounts and later recollections, representatives of Kalat explored the possibility of seeking Indian support. The idea was revolutionary. An independent Balochistan, friendly to India, sitting on the western edge of the subcontinent. Such a state would have fundamentally altered South Asian geopolitics. At that moment, Pakistan itself was still struggling to consolidate its territory. Its western provinces were unstable, its borders were uncertain, and Baloch nationalism was very strong. For India, this could have been an extraordinary strategic opportunity, but it never materialized. To understand the magnitude of this missed opportunity, one has to understand the geography of Balochistan. Balochistan is not an ordinary province. It makes up nearly 44% of Pakistan's land area. It is rich in natural gas, minerals, copper, gold, and strategic coastline. And most importantly, it contains a deep sea port of Gwadar, which today is the crown jewel of China's Belt and Road initiative. Through Gwadar runs the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC. This project has given China direct access to the Arabian Sea. But imagine a different scenario. What if Gwadar had never been in Pakistan? And what if Balochistan had been an independent state, friendly to India? The entire strategic equation of Asia would have changed today. In 1948, India was facing enormous challenges. The wounds of partition were still fresh. Millions of refugees had crossed borders. Communal riots had devastated the country. The first war over Kashmir was underway. The Hyderabad integration was still unresolved and resources were extremely limited. At that time, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was also deeply committed to the idea of respecting existing international boundaries and avoiding policies that could be seen as expansionist. Supporting an independent Balochistan would have meant direct confrontation with Pakistan at a time when India was already fighting in Kashmir. The risk seemed too high, and so India chose not to intervene. The story did not end there. In March 1948, Kalat signed the Instrument of Accession and joined Pakistan, though the accession remained controversial and later became a major source of Baloch nationalist grievances. Soon afterwards, the resistance emerged. Prince Abdul Karim, the brother of the Khan of Kalat, launched an armed rebellion against Pakistan, beginning the first phase of the long-running Baloch insurgency. Since then, Balochistan has witnessed repeated cycles of unrest, insurgencies, and demands for greater autonomy. Even today, the province remains one of the biggest and most troubled areas of Pakistan. Now comes the fascinating question: what if India had accepted the offer? Well, there's scenario 1. Pakistan would have lost nearly half of its territory. The scenario 2 is China's strategic access to Gwadar may have never existed. India could have gained direct access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, and India would have shared a border with Iran. The entire security architecture of South Asia would have looked completely different. The China-Pakistan strategic axis, as we know it today, may never have emerged. Pakistan's economy would have been significantly weaker because much of its natural gas and mineral wealth lies in Balochistan. The geopolitical map of Asia might have been transformed. History full of moments and last only a few weeks and shape entire centuries. The possibility of an independent Balochistan in 1948 was one such moment. For some, it represents a missed strategic opportunity, but for others, it reflects India's desire to avoid further conflict during one of the most difficult periods in the history. There is no way to know what would have happened. Would an independent Balochistan have survived? Would it have remained friendly to India? Or would it have created new challenges? Those questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain, the map of South Asia that we know today was not inevitable. It could have been very different. So sometimes history changes because of great wars, and sometimes it changes because of a single decision taken behind closed doors. And sometimes history changes because an opportunity is allowed to pass. The story of Balochistan in 1948 is one such story, a forgotten chapter that reminds us how differently the destiny of the Indian subcontinent might have unfolded. Historical accounts confirm that Kalat's accession and the subsequent insurgency remain deeply contested subject in the region's history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Organiser. Thank you for watching.